everyone, it's Lisa and Luna from Don't Run with Scissors, back with another Technique Tuesday. Today's part 2 of the pastels and chalks techniques, and I've been having a ball with them. Today we're going to move into working with white crafting, black paper, and then next week we're moving into liquids, which I'm ridiculously excited about. I wish it was this week, actually. But last week we went over what exactly the pastels were. These were Stampin' Up. Some people interchange them with the word chalks, but these are the Stampin' Up ones. We'll play with these today. They come in this palette, lovely big palette, so we'll get to that. We also went over using the Pebbles cream chalks. These are metallic-y, very silky and smooth. They come in a wide array of colors, but this is a small kit that I have. And also the pan pastels, which are artist grade pastels, and these are just incredibly beautiful and soft and silky to work with, so we're going to go into a little more of that today. Last week, just as a quick recap, I did show how you could apply the pastels, the chalks, to your paper. I did this on white paper. I did use a Q-tip, cotton ball, sponge sticks, the makeup squishy pads, daubers, pom-poms, and what you could do with drawing, blending, adding them to Versamark ink, layering them with regular ink, applying them directly to a stamp, using them as a background image and erasing, because this stuff does erase, lifting images. This one I colored in green, stamped it with Versamark ink, and then was able to add red on top of the green. You can use it to mask, like I did here. I put the butterflies down and went around it. And then you can also use it on dark paper, and if you stamp with Versamark ink, it will lift the color right off. So that's how I got the love to pop out of the black paper. So today we're going to play a little more with colors. Put these aside. And specifically, what the white crafting does and how you can use it. So I'm going to zoom in here quick. I am playing specifically with two inks. The white Stampin' Up! Craft ink and the stazon opaque white. You do need to make sure this is nice and wet, because as you can see here, my white up here, it's much duller than the Stampin' Up! White. So just be very careful. Make sure your pads are nice and juicy when you're going to stamp. So I used this leaf and I stamped these and I heat set them. Some people say you should be heat setting before you apply your pastels. Some say that you can do them directly wet. So I decided that I would do both, show you, and then show two quick card techniques, and you could have your Tuesday. So here I am. I have my sponge daubers. Pull one out here. So I'm going to use green, and actually I'll use the green that's right here on camera. This is just a regular little sponge dauber. You can use cotton ball, makeup pad, whatever you want. And again, these were heat set off camera. Go in here and I'm going to rub. And I'm going to do the heat set Stampin' Up! Pastels, and I'm just going to go right over it. And you can daub and you can swirl. A good thing to have on hand is like a Swiffer wet jet cloth to help you brush that off. And it is staying. And if you really need to be super fussy, you can go in with your eraser and clean those little areas out. So that's on the stazon. So now we're going to try it on the Stampin' Up! So we're just going to go in, tap and swirl, and then quietly brush that off. Again, if you need to be a complete neat freak, you can come back in and clean that up. So that's heat set. And you can see what it's doing on the black paper. It does pop in person a little better than it is on film from what I'm seeing. So now let's try the pan pastels. And I was going to do green, but I think I'm going to do purple just to have the color pop. These come in stacks of 5. You can buy very large kits. Again, these are quite expensive, so if you are going to use them, I would play with one pack first before moving on. Make sure you really do enjoy them. So I'm going to tap. That's not sticking. And now I'll swirl. And we'll go back. Not very clean, so just to note that. And now on top of the white craft ink. That looks very nice. And again, these will erase so you can go in. So I'm thinking if the stazon ink was brighter, it wouldn't look so messy up here. But you can definitely see the difference in the images, especially with how it was stamped. So now we're going to try it wet and clean my paper off here. And we will do the stazon ink first. I did ink this up after that, so we're going to do this wet. So this is, we'll do Pastels, and it's still not much darker. And now I'll just pounce on the ink. You can see a dramatic difference. And the ink doesn't smear, which I'm surprised about. So you can see a dramatic difference between dry and wet. So now let's go over to the pan pastels. And cover this up. You want to make sure you keep these nice and covered so that they don't dry out. These are the ones that the stazon, they do come with the refill pack. So that's how you warm your stamps up when you're getting ready to work. So now with the pan pastels, we've got wet, and now we'll just go over it. And I'm just dabbing, as you probably can hear. And we'll go in. Not clean, but fixable. So that is with the stazon. And now we will go try the Stampin' Up! White craft ink. Give this a little quick clean. Alright, we'll go back in with my sponge dauber in green. And we're just going to tap on it. And it's not, the ink isn't coming off. So that's a nice finish. Definitely see the difference. And now we'll try it with the pastels. Hoping for a cleaner image than the last time. I do like the white craft ink, so I think that's what we'll use for the rest of the video. And now I need the pastels. So I'm going to just come in and swirl. Great thing about these is you can't cross-contaminate colors. And tap. Now perhaps brushing this swooping motion wasn't a great idea. So maybe just doing an eraser would be a better, more definitive way to clean this up so it doesn't smear. So you can see that, and you can see how it does smear. So there you go. So the way I would use with the white craft ink, which is how we're going to proceed going forward, is actually wet. I'm going to stick with using the stazon white craft ink for the two techniques we're going to do next. So let's put this aside, but you can definitely see the difference. Wet's the way to go. Okay, so now we're going to do play with this butterfly, and we're going to play on acetate. Acetate is that prickly paper or packaging that you get when you purchase dies or some stamps. And so this is just an old package, and this is an actual much thinner piece of acetate. But I wanted to show you that if you wanted to do this and all you had was this plastic, it's going to work. So we're going to do two of them just so you can see it. I have my butterfly punch, and I'm just going to punch a butterfly out of the acetate. He wants to come out. Apparently not. Alright, hang on. Hang on one second. Decapitated butterfly. Alright, let's try one more time. Acetate can be a little tricky to get out, as you can probably hear off camera. So if you're going to pick a punch, make sure it's a nice solid punch. And I have my butterfly. Unfortunately, he has a small little crack in him. And I'm not going to fussy with that any much longer. But I do have a little butterfly right here. And he's got a little crack in him. Oh, everybody has a little crack. So I'm going to put him on black paper. Hopefully you can kind of see the shine from him. What I'm going to do is take a really pretty background stamp. I'm going to stamp it with the white stazon, white crafting from Stampin' Up. Put that aside. And I'm going to come down and I'm going to stamp on my butterfly. Peel him off. So now my butterfly has a decoration type thing on him. And what you can do now is with the crafting, I'll stick with green because that's the dauber I have out. You can come in and you can pounce. And you can change, transform your butterfly or any other object you feel like adding some depth and dimension to. Now once that's all set, you can come in with your cloth. And I'm not going to continue on because I don't want to keep making a mess here. But you can see the colors that'll stay on. And you can do this with cards full length pages and do the entire background and daub on it. You can get really specific and go in with an actual tip and go right into the colors and try to add in, highlight. You can blend. There's all sorts of fun things you can do on the acetate, but just know using white craft ink and stamping on them and applying the color will stay and it will clean off if you take the time to go through it. This we're not going to do today. So the final thing that we can do to play is actual stamping of the images. So I'm going to take a piece of black cardstock. I'm going to use my Stampin' Up! White craft ink, and I have some irises here. Let's go this way so I can see what's going on. A wee bit concerned about this corner here. Alright, we'll clean that up real quick. Go back in. Alright, got a scrap piece of paper. I'm going to lay this piece right over its black cardstock. And we'll flip. Press that in. Now, before we saw what happens between the wet and the dry, so we're going to try to work with this as wet as possible. I'm not going to heat set it. And I do have some makeup applicators here. I do have my pouncers. So I'm just going to hop right in. Let's move this aside. Let's bring these colors in and try to color in my image while everything is nice and wet. So doing this isn't an exact science. You will see some of the ink go off to the sides. So again, if you are really particular, you will need to go in with an eraser to try and clean it up. All depends on how neat or how messy you like your coloring. Where'd that stamp go? Going for some, make sure I have the right. Okay, so there's the purple. Now we'll go in with some green. Hi, sorry about that. I'm not sure if you saw the blip in the video. The battery died and then the cat got sick. So now I'm back. So I've just finished coloring in. I was cleaning up the edges here with my cloth and making that nice and neat around the edges. Like I said before, you could go in with your eraser and really fussy color that in, but your image does pop nice and well. And if you wanted to add some more to it, and I am going to because I'm sending this as a get well card, you could take your, if you have one, the Uniball Signo white pigment ink, and you can go in and highlight some of the areas. So that's what we're going to do now. I'm just going to try to outline a little bit of the flower, just give it a little bit more. Of an image. And you definitely don't need to do everything. Just give it a little bit of oomph. Maybe a little bit in the leaves. Go back around the flower. So this is just edging a little bit over the stamp and the chalk image. Just giving it a little more definition. Does make a nice effect. Makes the iris pop. As you can see, I really didn't spend too much time doing that, but did just want to give it a little extra. So now that that is complete, I have a card base already ready for it. And so we will adhere that to the base of my card. Stick that right there in the middle. And I made a little banner. So basically I took a 3/4 inch piece of paper stamped in the middle, and I did two folds. Actually, you can use your envelope maker or anything that's got the bone folder in there. And I'm going to get some pop-up dots here. And we'll put this down. How big was that? So we will put my foam dots down. Scoring board is really the word I was looking for at the moment. That was escaping me. All right. Adhered. I'm going to tag just the little side here. Make sure everything stays in its place. And then we'll put this right down on our card. And there you have it. So there's a chalk background card with a wishing you well sentiment. And you can go in and clean up, see if you made any messes while you were finishing up. But that is what you can do with chalks on a dark background, and you can really make a really beautiful card that people will enjoy. So here's to another chalking video, and next week we're going to move into chalks and the use of liquids. And while the gel white pen is a liquid, and stamp is a liquid too, the stamp ink, we're really going to be moving into some cool stuff. So hope to see you next week. Thanks for tuning in, and have a good night.